I'm hard and ready.
Advanced philosophy memes. We make good memes. Advanced philosophy memes. Base fucking memes. Advanced philosophy memes. We make good memes. Advanced philosophy memes. Base fucking memes. Shoutouts to Aquarius, Deacon, my boy Scott, Pedro, and everyone else that engages on my posts. It's Sarah. Keep it up, man. You'll get there someday. And everyone else from Queen Bees.
Part 1, current events.
Oh my god. Yo, I just want to point out your look. It's kind of like it's giving Big Boss punished
I'm not
snake.
used to it yet, you know? It's like
Yeah.
it's a new feeling.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
You just need an eye patch and the look will be like complete. And I'll be your
Totally.
XO, Kazuhira Miller.
Feels weird. I never like slick my hair back, so it feels like, you know, it's like I feel like I had a facelift or something. I don't know.
It's kind of tactical, you know?
You know, yeah, gets out of my way. I mean,
Yeah.
usually it just falls in my face all day, which is useful because I was always like an emo boy, and like
Mhm.
I was goth, but like generally the long hair was just so I didn't have to see so much of the ugliness of the world.
Oh, come on.
Right,
Now there's no escaping it.
exactly. I actually like the grotesquerie of it all. It's kind of nice, you know, it's something to see.
Yeah. I remember when I what's up? No,
No,
you go ahead.
Oh,
You
your
go for it.
first story. You said current events first, but we can go back to memories. Start with memories, and then we'll the
Mhm.
prequel to the current events. You remember
Uh,
what?
I remember when I had long hair and wore a ponytail, and I would sometimes it would be so tight I would get a headache, and I would be like, "Oh no, my ponytail is too tight," and that's just me girl maxing for a bit.
Dude. Yeah, Stefan, I see you. We can throw you in there. Let me Instagram send you the link. I posted it in this comment chat because
Oh shit, that's gonna end well.
no, they don't. I mean, I don't have to let you in if I don't like you. So that's the way that
Oh,
works.
okay.
See, we still have the power over things. Okay, Stefan, message sent, and then I think Andrew's awake. He's like working, right? Is that what's going on? Oh, there's a Vital Fest in San Francisco this week, and Brian Johnson will be there. My buddy Gennadi's going to be speaking on you know, like nanomedicine and things like that.
Yeah, I fucking love Brian Johnson's Twitter account. He's always like, "Oh, I just had sex with my wife. It was very good. She's got a fine vagina. Good night, everybody."
He has actually like one of the top rated vaginas according to the index that he's created,
Yep.
which is fascinating because like he studied everything from his own son's balls to his girlfriend's vagina. Like this guy, I mean, wow, you know,
I love
like
it.
he's a dream coach. And everyone, some people don't get it, so I'm glad you do. But yeah, I like to see it because it's like he was a Mormon kid who did DMT, and to me, that's like to watch the full journey of someone is kind of like a nostalgia trip for your own life, you know, because you have to have gone through all these things just way earlier. And here's a dude who's like 50, who's just now experiencing these things for the first time, and it's questions are arising for the first time, and he's working that out, and it's just really kind of beautiful to watch someone. It's kind of like watching Candace Owens start to go insane as she started like learning about the world. Like, did you know the moon landing was fake?
Did you know that the reptiles are in the world?
I mean, what's like, so here's another thing about the moon landing. The Nazis, right? So like if you think about it, I was just watching the Al Pacino show, The Hunters. Have you seen this? Hunters?
Yeah, that show's like a farce.
Well, I thought, okay, so first off, it's really a good show to watch because it shows you exactly the narrative that they are portraying, which is that
Hmm.
these guys who are murdering women and children and old people are the heroes. And that these women and children and old people, these people who have families and are building the space program and everything, that they're monsters, you know? And it's this, you have to just believe it, right? That the women and children are monsters. Your
Yeah,
grandpa in Alabama is this evil guy, and
and
that
it's
the
all
right thing to do is to like cut their eyeballs out and to like torture them and all this horrible stuff, right? All because of whatever happened in the past, allegedly or not, you know?
well, it's also bad because it's like baked into the subtext. It's never really spelled out that way. So I don't know. I would assume not every viewer will be like capable of dissecting the subtext of a narrative plot or whatever. And then, yeah, it's just going to leak in. It's just going to get baked into their subconscious, and they're going to be like, yeah, I got to kill the Nazi children and
It
women.
depends though. See, because I don't know. I feel like if you were like, let's say you're a Chinese person who has the LARPing contest, and you remember like 20 years ago, it was very common that people in China would wear like Hitler masks and Star Wars outfits, and they would do like Civil War reenactments because they didn't understand the context for any of it. And they had to make, you know, these guys are working all week making Mardi Gras masks, Christmas masks, Hitler masks, and they're thinking to themselves, when I get off of work, what am I going to do for fun? I'm going to put on a Hitler mask with a Santa Claus hat with Mardi Gras beads, and they don't know like what it's like the Nightmare Before Christmas or something. They live in the world that's creating all the junk that we're using to celebrate everything we do, and there's no context to it to understand this is a monster or that this is a hero. Right. And so if you show someone who has no context about the Holocaust, let's say, or about the moon landing, right? Like, so like a kid who's 15, 12 years old today, you show them that show. I'd like to believe more than you'd think the number would be. A good amount of people would walk away from that with like a more neutral and more objective disbias, which
So
is
you're saying
like, it shows you these people really believe that they're heroes and they're very flawed. And that these people are clearly not the monsters, or at least they're more multidimensional and have more to them than just be like, I would have thought a monster in a kid's movie would be this, you know, of this venom thing. And here's a person who is a family and loves them. And it's interesting to know this about monsters. I feel like that would be the result. And you'd walk away wondering, like, what was the value? I mean, a big point in the show is, was the moon landing worth 6 million lives? Because for the idea for this is that the moon landing couldn't have happened without the Nazis, which is a weird idea. Hey, Sith Lord, what's up?
I mean, I was gonna say, if you want to point to like the complexity of like where Nazis fit into our society even now, just look at all the scientists that helped us like get to space, like you said.
If we did, which is the whole, you know, like is like, it's interesting that there's a denial movement for the Holocaust and for the moon landing, and how intertied they would be because of the paperclip.
Isn't like all the NASA, like the UFO files, aren't those some of them like the Nazi, like related to Nazi programs and stuff? Like they're actually confirming that, because I know that, you know, the History Channel used to say that too.
Dude, the History Channel was so great for that. Yeah. But you know, like what the Paperclip Project was? You've heard of that? You know what that is?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So like obviously we took over as many of the programs as we could, and then the Russians had other programs, and so we were studying each other back and forth. So there's this hyper synergy. But the joke is, you know, like the Russian Sputnik and the American, I forget which one, right? They pass back and forth, and as the American and Russian satellites would pass back and forth, they would say Guten Tag, right? Because it was obviously it's the same program. It's a German program that's just been continued.
Wild.
But not so just that, right? Like when you start to think about it, it's not just the space program. It's the pharmaceutical industry. It's plastics. It's oil. It's fertilizer. It's
energy.
All of it.
Yo, speaking of energy, and kind of ties into the Department of Energy, I've been doing some digging, and they're a pretty interesting branch of government. You know, like they got their own Black Ops Commando units that are probably more secret than like Department of Defense units. And yeah, like they have this one unit called the Composite Adversarial Team, and these guys, their job is to literally figure out the best ways to break into like top secret nuclear facilities or weapon storage facilities. And the way they operate is like interesting because they're always said to wear like all black, no insignia, no flags, no rank or anything like that. And then you hear these like Marines like coming out in interviews saying like, oh yeah, there was this, like, we just happened to be around this area where there was a unidentified crashed flying object. It could be alien. And before we realized, some Department of Energy agents came decked out in like full commando gear, like ready to just rip us on the spot. And I was like, oh, that's pretty scary. At first I was like, when I first heard these stories, I was like, who the fuck are these guys? Like, who could they be? Some paramilitary group, some defense contractor. And then the whole like Department of Energy kind of the trail kind of like made itself like obvious in some way. I forgot. I think it was like the recent UFO drops with Trump. And then I just pulled that thread and I was like, wow, the DOE is pretty fucking sus.
That's wild.
I'm trying to remember the Department of Energy's connection to the Vatican. There's like a thing with that. Critical minerals and the energy transition. And they work directly with the Department of Energy. Which, I mean, so Jesuits, space-time travelers, the Time Variance Authority. I could totally imagine that, like, beyond the Men in Black.
I mean, any weird science, like any weird science you could imagine probably does fall under the purview of the Department of Energy's like top secret shit. I mean, they're probably the closest thing we have to like a real life SCP Foundation kind of thing,
Dude,
that's interesting. You know what I was thinking, because like you guys play like word games too, so it's like DOE, John Doe, like,
oh wow,
like,
John Doe.
right?
That's a good point. Yeah. Man, the Department of Energy, the other thing is the Atomic Energy Commission, right? Like they were for building that. And so the entire transition from like the Cold War into the world peace energy movement is from the nukes into the free energy transition, which all gets subdued by the oil companies, which are now becoming these like British Petroleum became Beyond Petroleum and everything. But it seems like the entire nuclear future has been postponed by oil companies until we finish with that, which we're not quite done with, apparently, if you look at Venezuela.
And it's crazy with that right now. It's, I mean, like AI, obviously, the only way that we're going to really push forward with AI is really just, maximizing on nuclear energy, accelerating on building nuclear plants, and just being able to utilize that so that we can, get these data centers, get anything out there that can like produce energy so that we can like, because like, and AI is, I mean, it just does so much good for us in a lot of ways too. It's like accelerating so many different aspects. I mean, yeah.
Dude,
well,
go ahead.
I was just going to mention that there's also like all these intersections that are waiting to happen. That's just going to be like runaway singularity, like when quantum computing meets language models. And so you're going to have like crazy predictive modeling just based on language. And that's like already kind of nuts instead of just hard numbers and data.
So in Paraguay, where the first actually Argentina and Bariloche is the first nuclear fission reactor. But north of that, right at the border of Paraguay to Argentina, is Iguazu, which is the biggest hydroelectric power plant in the world. And I don't know if it's still the case, but it was something like a third of all of South America's power came from this one dam for just ever. Up until, I think recently they have a few more dams. There's a new hydroelectric in Chile and a couple more that they're built up north, one in Colombia and one in Bolivia. But they're not comparable in terms of the energy production. And you could build in Paraguay, I would imagine, like the ultimate energy center. But it's interesting that this is where the part of the Hunter show goes, is that they're saying, well, Hitler and everybody, these paperclip guys who couldn't get into America, they went to Argentina and South America, right? And so, of course, instead of having a nuclear power plant, even though they did have the first one, right, in Bariloche, to have more energy than anyone else, and all around Iguazu and these areas are UFO sightings. South America, Argentina is known for just crazy amounts of UFO sightings. And I remember going to Bariloche and like they make people, like these folk people, make little flying saucers and scary alien-eyed owls that they like sell to everybody.
Nice.
I mean, it's the Nazi Roswell of Argentina,
Interesting. The chupacabra, anything kind of related to that? Is that like a one-off or something? Or
Chupacabra's like in Mexico, right? But there are crazy cryptoids in South America. There are, first off, like in Paraguay and the Chaco, there's all kinds of weird things. There's like a quadrupedal bipedal thing, like it can stand and run. That's like a you know, like not quite Bigfoot, not quite a saber tooth or like a tiger. It's like something in between.
Yeah.
Embarrassing.
You know, speaking in South America, there's
just the giants in Chile and the Andes. The other ones, these giant redhead giant things that can run up and down mountains faster than goats that people always cite.
Don't forget about the Peruvian UFO crash. That's
Dude.
like that was a big one.
So yeah, from the Chaco to the salt flats, from Bolivia and the salt flats, and then so right at the border from Bolivia to Peru in the north. But Chile also, Chile and the Atacama, which there's no ozone over Chile, so they're able to see space so much clearer. They have all these, you know, these incredible giant telescopes that are buildings, and there's all arranged in the Atacama there, and they're constantly sighting things. But wait, which are you talking about? The Peruvian 1960 or the 1990s?
1990s.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, supposedly it's implied, I think, with this one interview with the Marine who was supposedly on site that it was they shot it down. There's like some joint force, international, transnational force, where they pretty much just are on the lookout for UFOs so they could shoot them fuckers down. And I'm like, you know, that's kind of probably not the best thing to do, but who knows? Maybe they probably know shit I don't know. So,
well, I mean, how convinced are you that they're aliens and not just us from the future? See, that's the thing for me. I feel like
yeah. The one that points to that would be the UFO sighting in Britain, right? In that British military base a while back, and then
the orb thing, or
it was a triangle shape, a black obelisk looking thing, and then there was like inscriptions saying like, "Oh, this is you basically from the future, like we're you guys."
Dude, are we pumping the F chat? Do they realize what we're doing here? I should probably, you know, tell the world, right? Like, hey, Sith Lord be chilling on the Exertus stream. Check it, dudes. I don't know why I'm trying to talk like a millennial really right now.
Yeah. You know, one of the more interesting theories that I've heard was like I really like the higher dimensional traveling thing. Like we in the future figured out how to traverse time by, I don't know, like interacting with the fourth dimension, so you could kind of be at like all points in time at the same time and just settle on one to travel. I really like that. Because if you think about like, you know, what would a three-dimensional object passing through 2D world look like? And it would just like, you know, you wouldn't see the whole image. It would just kind of be like floating shapes or lines, you know? So if we see like a four-dimensional being passing through our third dimension, it kind of makes sense why it moves so erratically, because we're not seeing like the whole picture.
Have you seen that video, The 10 Dimensions Explained, like years ago, right? You know what I'm talking about?
I think so.
Yes.
I'm more referring to the Flatland story.
Yeah. Well, Flatland's the first couple. Sith Lord, have you seen the 10 Dimensions video? You know what I'm talking about?
It's been a while, but yeah, I definitely have seen that for sure.
Dude, I want a brief refresher.
The point.
Awesome.
Like the point we know from geometry, it has no size, no dimension. It's just an imaginary idea that indicates a position in a system. A second point, then, can be used to indicate a different position. But it, too, is of indeterminate size. To create the first dimension, all we need is a line joining any 2 points. A first-dimensional object has length only, no width or depth. If we now take our first-dimensional line and draw a second line crossing the first, we've entered the second dimension. The object we're representing now has a length and a width, but no depth. To help us with imagining the higher dimensions, we're going to represent our second-dimensional object as being created using a second line, which branches off from the first. Now let's imagine a race of two-dimensional creatures called Flatlanders. What would it be like to be a Flatlander living in their two-dimensional world? A two-dimensional creature would have only length and width, as if they were the royalty on an impossibly flat playing card. Picture this. A Flatlander couldn't possibly have a digestive tract because the pipe from their mouth to their bottom would divide them into 2 pieces. And a Flatlander trying to view our three-dimensional world would only be able to perceive shapes in two-dimensional cross-sections. A balloon, for instance, would start as a tiny dot, become a hollow circle which inexplicably grows to a certain size, then shrinks back to a dot before popping out of existence. And we three-dimensional human beings would seem very strange indeed to a Flatlander.
There you go.
Imagining the third dimension is the easiest for us because every moment of our lives, that's what we're in. A three-dimensional object has length, width, and height. But here's another way to describe the third dimension. If we imagine an ant walking across a newspaper which is lying on a table, we can pretend that the ant is a flatlander, walking along on a flat two-dimensional newspaper world. If that paper is now folded in the middle, we create a way for our flatlander ant to magically disappear from one position in his two-dimensional world and be instantly transported to another. We can imagine that we did this by taking a two-dimensional object and folding it through the dimension above, which is our third dimension. Once again, it'll be more convenient for us as we imagine the higher dimensions if we can think of the third dimension in this way. The third dimension is what you fold through to jump from one point to another in the dimension below. The first three dimensions can be described with these words: length, width, and depth. What word can we assign to the fourth dimension? One answer would be duration. If we think of ourselves as we were 1 minute ago, and then imagine ourselves as we are at this moment, the line we could draw from the 1 minute ago version to the right now version would be a line in the fourth dimension. If you were to see your body in the fourth dimension, you'd be like a long undulating snake, with your embryonic self at one end and your deceased self at the other. But because we live from moment to moment in the third dimension, we're like our second dimensional flatlanders. Just like that flatlander who can only see two-dimensional cross-sections of objects from the dimension above, we, as three-dimensional creatures, can only see three-dimensional cross-sections of our fourth-dimensional self. One of the most intriguing aspects of there being one dimension stacked on another is that down here in the dimensions below, we can be unaware of our motion in the dimensions above. Here's a simple example. If we make a Mobius strip, take a long strip of paper, add one twist to it and take the ends together, and draw a line down the length of it, our line will eventually be on both sides of the paper before it meets back with itself. It appears, somewhat amazingly, that the strip has only one side, so it must be a representation of a two-dimensional object. And this means that a two-dimensional flatlander, traveling down the line we just drew, would end up back where they started without ever feeling like they had left the second dimension. In reality, they would be looping and twisting in the third dimension, even though to them it felt like they were traveling in a straight line. The fourth dimension, time, feels like a straight line to us, moving from the past to the future. But that straight line in the fourth dimension is, like the Mobius strip, actually twisting and turning in the dimension above. So the long undulating snake that is us will feel like it is moving in a straight line in the fourth dimension, but there will actually be, in the fifth dimension, a multitude of paths that we could branch to at any given moment. Those branches will be influenced by our own choice, chance, and the actions of others. Quantum physics tells us that the subatomic particles that make up our world are collapsed from waves of probabilities simply by the act of observation. In the picture we are drawing for ourselves here, we can now start to see how each of us are collapsing the indeterminate wave of probable futures contained in the fifth dimension into the fourth dimensional line that we are experiencing as time. What if you wanted to go back into your own childhood and visit yourself? We can imagine folding the fourth dimension through the fifth, jumping back through time and space to get there. But what if you wanted to get to the world where, for example, you had created a great invention as a child that by now had made you famous and rich? We can imagine our fourth dimensional selves branching out from our current moment into the fifth dimension. But no matter where you go from here, the great child inventor timeline is not one of the available options in your current version of time. You can't get there from here, no matter how much choice, chance, and the actions of others become involved. There are only two ways you could get to that world. One would be to travel back in time, somehow trigger the events that caused you to come up with your invention, then travel forward in the fifth dimension to see one of the possible new worlds that might have resulted. But that would be taking the long way. The shortcut we could take would involve us folding the fifth dimension through the sixth dimension, which allows us to instantly jump from our current position to a different fifth dimensional line. In our description of the fourth dimension, we imagine taking the dimension below and conceiving of it as a single point. The fourth dimension is a line which can join the universe as it was 1 minute ago to the universe as it is right now. Or in the biggest picture possible, We could say that the fourth dimension is a line which joins the Big Bang to one of the possible endings of our universe. Now, as we enter the seventh dimension, we're about to imagine a line which treats the entire sixth dimension as if it were a single point. To do that, we have to imagine all the possible timelines, which could have started from our Big Bang, joined to all the possible endings for our universe, a concept which we often refer to as infinity, and treat them all as a single point. So for us, a point in the seventh dimension would be infinity, all possible timelines, which could have or will have occurred from our Big Bang. When we describe infinity as being a point in the seventh dimension, we're only imagining part of the picture. If we're drawing a seventh dimensional line, we need to be able to imagine what a different point in the seventh dimension is going to be, because that's what our line is going to be joined to. But how can there be anything more than infinity? The answer is, there can be other completely different infinities created through initial conditions which are different from our own Big Bang. Different initial conditions will create different universes, where the basic physical laws such as gravity or the speed of light are not the same as ours. And the resulting branching timelines from that universe's beginning to all its possible endings will create an infinity which is completely separate from the one which is associated with our own universe. So the line we draw in the seventh dimension will join one of those infinities to another. And as boggling as the magnitude of what we're exploring here might be, if we were to branch off from that seventh dimensional line to draw a line to yet another infinity, we'd then be entering the eighth dimension. As we've explored already, we can jump from one point in any dimension to another simply by folding it through the dimension above. If our ant on the newspaper were a two-dimensional flatlander, then folding his two-dimensional world to the third dimension would allow him to magically disappear from one location and appear in a different one. As we're now imagining the ninth dimension, the same rules would apply. If we were to be able to instantaneously jump from one eighth dimensional line to another, it would be because we're able to fold through the ninth dimension. Before we discuss the first dimension, we could say that we first started out with dimension 0, which is the geometrical concept of the point. A point indicates a location in a system, and each point is of indeterminate size. The first dimension then takes two of these points and joins them with a line. When we imagined the fourth dimension, it was as if we were treating the entirety of three-dimensional space in a particular state as a single point, and drawing a fourth-dimensional line to another point, representing space as it is in a different state. We often refer to the line we have just drawn as time. Then, in the seventh dimension, we treated all of the possible timelines which could be generated from our Big Bang as if this were a single point, and imagine drawing a line to a point representing all the possible timelines for a completely different universe. Now, as we enter the 10th dimension, we have to imagine all the possible branches for all the possible timelines of all the possible universes and treat that as a single point in the 10th dimension. So far, so good. But this is where we hit a roadblock. If we're going to imagine the 10th dimension as continuing the cycle and being a line, then we're going to have to imagine a different point that we can draw that line to. But there's no place left to go. By the time we have imagined all possible timelines for all possible universes as being a single point in the 10th dimension, it appears that our journey is done. In string theory, physicists tell us that superstrings vibrating in the 10th dimension are what create the subatomic particles which make up our universe.
Based.
Yeah.
Dang.
So my thought on that is, as far as like how it relates to our day to day, I think there's something to be said that your lower dimensional shadow projection or whatever can only be manipulated by like higher dimensional things, you know, like, so like your shadow, for example, your shadow doesn't necessarily know why it raises its arm every time you raise your arm in the light, but it does. So maybe our higher dimensional self is like doing things that kind of project into us without us really realizing or being consciously aware of.
Do you watch Interstellar? Sorry, go ahead, Seth.
I was gonna say, I think that like the key, what you just said there, the maybe the key phrase is consciously aware, because I think that observability is it's kind of like, you know, like with respect to, you know, like when you look at calculus, you say with respect to time, with respect to this, you know, X, Y. It's kind of like with respect to observability, you know, you're the ant kind of going through space, and it's suddenly kind of like folds in, and you can go from like point A to point B instantaneously. That you observe that, so that I think that's very important in that kind of distinction there too.
Well, there's also the kind of Heisenberg uncertainty principle about where you come from and where you're going. And I think that relates to like the Mandela effect idea. I mean, if there really are merging timelines, then it'd be interesting when people say, well, I grew up my entire life, knowing that the world is a globe. And now it's the science shows it to be a flat earth or anything like that. That anything we're taught is a certain way has been the initial conditions that allowed you to exist. But more or less, things will find a way of existing anyway. So there's these mergers I feel like are happening when these timelines fray. If something gets to a point where it can't continue on, there's no perpetual identity for this linear timeline. Let's say it's going to like Donnie Darko, right? Donnie Darko ends with the entire world ending around him. In his world, he's the only one alive. Everyone else is dying closest to him, and then he's watching the clouds open up and everything. But then in the milieu timeline of everyone else, the collective consciousness sees him dying. It's like his world and our collective world are separating from each other, like a pollen is leaving a dandelion or something.
Yeah. And you know what like kind of caught me too is the Mobius strip, right? Like you're going on this circle, you're going down this path, and you're a lower dimensional creature going down this higher dimensional path, and it's almost like you have in the Mobius strip you have a piece of tape that kind of connects the two pieces of the ends of the paper together, so you have like this marker, and so you pass over it once and you're like, wait. And if you have like something like some sort of breadcrumb trail, let's say, and you're throwing breadcrumbs down and you're going across the Mobius strip and you go past that, like the end of the pieces, like you see the other side of it and you're just like, wait, I've seen this before, but like where are my breadcrumbs? My breadcrumbs should be here, and it's like they should be at the other side of this like piece that I'm at where the ends meet. And it's like, oh, okay, let me keep going. And if you keep going, then you see it does turn out to be this like really weird twisted shape that like it's almost incomprehensible until you actually like walk the path.
I mean, that's a big part of the breadcrumbs, I think, is that they're desirables. So they should be something non-desirable. That's why they switch to stones, right? Because or vice versa. But like we create a world that everything can gain something from. So there's no way to leave something behind without it being found to be useful by something else. So time can't be I've noticed this a lot with the identity of time is related to the witness. So I remember as a child when my grandparents passed away, the identity of World War II is so close to gone now. People don't really understand the mentality, the experience. I was just earlier today lifting these two 1937 or 1936 Maytag washing machines made of cast iron with the rolling bars and everything. So we have all this old.
They don't make them like that anymore.
They do not. I'll have to get some photos to show them. But it's like you can feel the anchor to the world that it comes out of. And when that is gone, I mean, the connection is gone. And
dude, actually, I totally understand that. My good friend has her own antique shop now. Like, she has her own business in Pennsylvania. And I was never really into antiques until I actually stepped foot in her store and considered it's like, yo, like, for example, what really just changed my outlook was when she was like, yo, check out this lawn chair from the 1970s. I was like, all right, it's a fucking lawn chair. I sit down on it. I'm like, this is the most comfortable lawn chair I have ever sat on in my fucking life. And it was just made out of this like weird gel material they just used a lot back then. And I got it. I got it.
Peak. Certain things will peak at a certain moment and then they go downhill. I think Star Wars is all about that. When you first watch the original Star Wars and then you see the prequels, everyone was upset for a lot of reasons, except, they were all wrong. But one of them was that they thought, wow, the tech in the past was better than the tech in the future. How could that be? And living today in 2026, when so many things that we had that existed in the 90s and early 2000s just don't exist anymore. The technologies they use to make these 1-inch hard drives that fit inside of iPods or, Firewire, or, just crazy technology that was lost. People used to chat 20 years before Skype with RTCP radio protocols, right? And I was talking to people in India, and then Yahoo bought these companies, destroyed them, and the technology just disappeared until another company redesigns it and rebuilds it. And it's never as good as it was.
Yo,
right?
we cannot have an Exertus stream without shitting on big tech companies. It just can't happen.
Not just big tech companies, man. You know, like my recent struggle is against even like Linus Torvalds, because my whole life I've been using Linux like all my life basically, which is weird to think about how old it is, but I've never really been happy with the certain issues with it. I was trying to explain to my brother today earlier because he's not a computer person. He's like, why are you spending all this time on your building an operating system? Like, what the hell? It's like, well, Windows and Mac and Linux are all operating systems, and they all are they're different, but they all have a monolithic kernel, which is the same problem. And they're all moving data back and forth. And these are just 40 or 100-year-old ideas. If you're taking a floppy disk and moving it back and forth, that sucks and all. But if you're taking Blu-ray movies or video games for 200 gigabytes and you're picking it up and you're copying it and you're moving it back and forth, it's stupid. And you can, if you just don't move the data, but you move the programmers and the coding around the data, you're moving less parts, right? And it's so simple of a concept, but they don't do this because they're we're trapped in this idea that this is the way to do things. Linux came out of GNU when they were working on the GNU Herd project, which was supposed to be a microkernel that had things that were separated, and basically Linux came in and usurped it. And we've kind of been living in this sort of monolithic conspiracy where IBM and Microsoft are back funneling into Linux. And you've seen like the last week or two, I don't know if you have, but Sith Lord, you probably have, you know what I'm talking about? Like everybody's finding hacks that are unlocking all of the software. Like there's all these vulnerabilities that they're finding. And people are like, oh God, it's crazy. Like Anthropic's Claude and things like that. They're figuring out that you can type in like 100 character prompt and it'll root any Linux system.
Oh yeah,
not just yours, but like all of Apache servers. Every day is a new 0 day that's just going to catastrophically destroy everyone's system, and it's just a regular thing now. This is normal. The difference is, and people will say, well, Linux sucks because it's like got 0 days. It's like, dude, Windows and Macs have 0 days. The only difference is it's not transparent. So every day on Linux you can find one and you can patch it, but there's got to be just millions of them in Windows and in Mac. And the only people allowed to work on those things, because they're not like volunteers, are people that could very easily be spies. You saw like, people from other countries, Israel, China, Russia, that have funneled themselves into Microsoft and Apple in order to embed vulnerabilities. So the whole world's just like, dude, Y2K, it's like Y2K 26. Can we do that? Is that a thing?
Well, yeah, the future is just going to be like every appliance, every device is just going to be like just built around a Unix system. Like that's what basically fighter jets are. It's a whole plane built around a Unix operating system.
BSC is cool.
Do you know Black Cube?
As in like the Israeli Mossad company, like their InQtel essentially. Yeah.
Yes,
for sure.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, wow. I didn't make that connection. Yeah, no, exactly. Like I heard about that. I listened to some blanking out right now with the podcast that I listened to, but I heard it a few years ago and it kind of blew my mind that they're able to like kind of just hack in, they find the 0 days, they shut up about them, but they use their software so that, I mean, like anyone, I have an iPhone. It's like, I'm sure it's compromised or could be compromised.
I mean, it was in OS 10 when they called it Yosemite. I know it's Yosemite, but it's literally when Yosemite. It was in Tel Aviv when they wrote that. That wasn't out of Yosemite. I'm just saying. And the more you start to realize that it's not just that they're finding vulnerabilities, but they're actually people working for the Black Cube, and again, not just like there's Americans do this too, embedding themselves in these companies as essentially double agents, but for corporations, so that they can, destroy from the inside out, and not necessarily because they want to take advantage of those vulnerabilities. They're just embedding them for the war, right? In the future, someday.
I think there's also a market for it, like to be able to sell vulnerabilities, because like once you use it, it kind of loses its value. It's better to have that like kind of like a tucked away nuke or some shit. It's like, sell it on the black market. It's more valuable.
I think there is a market out there too. There's a black market for sure, and yeah. I don't know what it is or what they call it, but I know that's out there for sure.
Well, you could probably find it, through a Tor browser or something. Start looking.
You saw the Russians selling hacked satellites about a year or two ago. Did you hear about that? Okay, so
that's spicy.
I was trying to explain this to my brother also, because like when you think about how easy it is to hack something, it's really difficult to hack a Nintendo Switch 2 because it uses 3 of the 12 cores for a quantum GPU accelerated encryption system. But that's so new that there's nothing that has that before it. So essentially anything before the Switch 2, and again, not many things have this. Nintendo just went insane because, someone hotwired the original Switch and immediately got root access to everything. So they didn't want an over buffer. So they're using quantum, but that doesn't exist in any of the old satellites. Satellites made 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 40 years ago. They're all 60 almost now. Some of them are up there, and you can hack into them with less than a 256 SSH, and they're being sold. They're saying, hey, you have complete access to these satellites launched in 2008. You can move them. You can record from them. You can access all of the data they're scanning. I mean, people are taking over this equipment all the time. And then the next one is like, if you can pinpoint a nuclear submarine, which is why they arrested those.
Well, to do that, you'd want to sell root access to like those maritime buoys, sensor buoys that just float around in the water, and they pretty much just exist to like, I guess, record seismic activity below sea level. So you could definitely use those too. Not saying you should, but it is possible probably to find some nuclear subs.
You remember, like, several people got in a lot of trouble recently because they put in a Starlink satellite on the side of their nuclear submarine so they could play Xbox Call of Duty on the internet live.
Dope.
Yeah.
I got to play my Halo Infinite. I got to play my fucking Bungie games.
Freaking nuts. Hey, I see. Wow, they're pouring in. They're pouring. It's like church, and then they're showing up. What's up, Vega? How's it going? Stefan's there in a black box. I don't know what's going on there, but he exists.
Black cube.
The black
cube.
Right?
Yosemite.
Which is really super. Remember in Superman when they put the bad guys into the black cubes? There's a reason for that, because Superman is Jewish.
Where do I send a list of links so that, because if I go into my notes, it blacks out my screen, I guess, but I can still hear you guys.
F chat. Go to the F chat. Super practical. So yeah, if you guys, someone asked earlier, what's the F for? And I was going to ask Sith while he's on the stand. Is it for freedom? French people?
I would say ephemeral.
I thought so. I'm glad that you
like
did.
We're really trying to push ephemerality. This idea that we don't want to like take all your data and at least like kind of utilize like the real necessary stuff. I mean, just like making things look pretty and holding on to settings and stuff like that, like the color of your app, like the color of your username, let's say, like that's being saved somewhere. But like our chats are on Redis. I don't know if anyone knows what that means, but like we have a time to live for all our chats, 7 days. So like everything just goes away in 7 days, and we don't hold on to it or anything like that. And we're just trying to make it as we're trying to just kind of make the next generation of platforms here, just social media in a sense, and encapsulate all the things, because I mean, like, there's just so many, just sorry, I'll keep going, I guess, a little bit, but like there's so many disjointed kind of platforms out there, and we're pulling them all together in different features and stuff, and trying to just like curate this sort of platform especially for creators too, like yourself, like just trying to like, make it so that, someone like you can utilize this, build a community. We're trying to get streaming. We got calls up actually now. So like,
Dude, an audio. Yeah. The audio messages. I tested it to see, could I send like full songs I make with Suno and things? It's like all those. It's amazing.
Oh yeah. And we actually have calls now too. Like you can start a call and people can come on and we have like a space kind of thing, you have like this, but like, we're working towards this.
Are you using Jitsi, or how are you doing the calls? What is your are you back-ending it with?
We're using media over query, which is like this new media over quick, which is like a newer kind of new form for all this stuff, and it's supposed to be a lot more efficient essentially, and the P2P stuff is great, like it's fast, but like it's hard to do that to scale, so it kind of like combines the P2P stuff with these like SFUs and stuff. I don't know if these are like terms that are just like
ether. Yeah.
And like some just a point on like FChat, like we're trying to push the envelope with certain things too. AI is just insane because it's like, with like the mock stuff, like I created an audio layer for it, I created I had to do like the transport bridge for it and do all these messages that like the mock has that sends it so that it like handles all these different events. And it's just like, I'm just talking to it. I'm making sure that the files are kind of all structured in a certain way, but the code is just, it's fucking beautiful. Like,
right. Yeah, it's cool because people get upset about clankers, but man, when you can see like 30,000 lines of code a day, like things are moving so fast.
Yeah, like one guy can do a whole department's worth of coding, pretty much.
And like,
so have none of you heard the phrase "F's in the chat" before?
Yeah.
Which is something that you say when someone passes away, because apparently there was a game where to like pay your respects, you press the F button.
Press F to pay your respects.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that
Sick reference.
See, you guys, I knew I was here for a reason, and I waited my turn. And
nice.
Is that Metal Gear Solid?
No, it's Call of Duty, I think.
That's a Call of Duty. Okay.
So can I read something? It's song lyrics that have to do with the dimensions, and it's quick. It goes.
You have to sing it. Read it. You have to fucking sing it.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
sing the song.
It's hard not to rap the rap. So you check it. 1 for Charlie Hustle, 2 for Steady Rock, 3's for the coming live future shock. It's 5 dimensions, 6 senses, 7 firmaments of heaven and hell, 8 million stories to tell, 9 planets faithfully keep in orbit. With the probable 10th, the universe expands length. The body of my text possess extra strength. Power lift the powerless up out of this towering inferno. My ink so hot it burned through the journal. I'm blacker than Broadway and Myrtle. Okay, yeah. Anyways, something like that.
Yeah, that's definitely classic.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah.
That's definitely classic Mos Def. He gets all mathematical with his stuff.
Dude, remember when Mos Def got arrested in South Africa because he used like a Nation of Hip Hop passport?
That song was called Mathematics, actually.
Oh man, the jokes write themselves.
Yazine Bey, I think he changed his name to. That world passport that Mos Def had, Associated Press.
That's dope. I want one of those.
Shined a light on the world passport, a document invented by a Vermont man in the aftermath of World War II. The 42-year-old rapper and actor, known as Yassine Bey, the new Mos Def, was accused of trying to leave South Africa while using a passport not recognized by that country. And I think he got like a year or something. He got in a lot of trouble for that.
It's definitely like a movie prop. He's like, "Oh, this ain't my real passport." Damn.
I mean,
why do I need
there's a country called South Sudan that I met someone at the bar the other day, and he goes, "Guess where I'm from? I'm from Africa." And I go, "Let me guess, a country that our government doesn't know or recognize as a total joke." And he goes, "Actually, yeah."
World passports were created in the 1950s by Davis as a way of giving stateless people and refugees access to identification that would be used to cross international boundaries. The authorities said that the world passport represents the inalienable human rights of the freedom of travel on planet Earth.
So this is probably like a sick nod to his song right now about like I think it starts out as like, why do I need ID to get ID? If I had ID, I wouldn't need ID. And I was like, that's what I was thinking about the whole time reading this.
Yeah, I always feel bad. Like, what if you're born on a boat or something like that, and, and like no one claims you, like or like your country doesn't exist anymore? I mean, the whole thing is this kind of crap. I totally get, like, I'm not like open borders completely, but I'm a lot more open borders than most of my friends, because I think it's hard to imagine a world where you can only go from one country to another country if like your master and their master have some sort of a slave agreement. That's kind of the system that we have right now. It's kind of cucked, like, to be fair.
Well, the next step is going to be corporate space travel and
Village
mining.
And Night Shyamalan, the village, and you just told them you're from Uzbekistan, and it just didn't exist. And I mean, or alternatively, there was a secret program. Let me get back so you can actually see me here.
I just wanted this because you sent me this, and it was just, I mean, it's a non sequitur that we needed. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, can you see me? Actually, I'm trying to get back.
Oh, and he's gone. I saw you. Just calm down.
Yo, he's a gem. He's a fucking gem.
I remember when Biden gave a bunch of cell phones to a bunch of illegal immigrants. I thought that was brilliant. It's like the most brilliant thing Biden did, because it's like, boom, now you have tracking devices on all of these people. Problem solved. You don't need, it's way better than a passport, like, realistically.
You remember the Obama phones? It's like, yo, did you get your own Obama phone yet? That was good. That was a good deal.
All right, there you are.
Also,
beautiful.
on the
Very
phones, when you don't know what language they speak, you have a type of software that's preloaded that's meant to be a graphical, intuitive user interface, where the person, just by hunting and pecking and clicking, can eventually get into games and maybe even go on Amazon, and they're just, maybe, again, they might have money preloaded on a card or something, but it's an opportunity to create a user interface that assumes the person, even if they know one language, the likelihood that they can read it very well is low. Some people speak 5 different languages and can't read or write any of them.
Were you trying to show us something? Wasn't there a thing you were gonna?
Yeah, well, I sent something in the chat. That was one thing.
I mean, we'll just put vaginal births next to Sith because it's chaos. Hold on, here we go. All right. Vaginal births increase risk of brain hemorrhaging in newborns. Study finds in 2007.
Great.
So apparently, it took until 2000, gentlemen. It took until 2007 before anyone was able to approve a study that actually made brain scans of children when they were born. Because why would you bother? Right?
This study's outdated.
Possibly good.
This is an outdated study because this is before OnlyFans brought us like dragon dildos. And you know what I mean? I feel like we're an entire generation of fisting. Like at this point, I don't think that they're gonna cause the same hemorrhaging that they did.
Well, and again, there were more severe and less severe hemorrhaging.
Yeah, they don't make them like they used to.
No. The study dismisses the long-term effects of this. It says, considering the large number of people that this would imply have brain hemorrhages when they're little, and everyone as adults seems to be doing, just fine. But the person who proposed the study was originally kind of laughed at, similar with the one that Andreas brought up about drinking milk from a woman that specifically just gave birth to a boy, and then
this is an interesting study because breast milk for the boy has different hormones than the breast milk for girls. It's as if there's a genomic sequencing and hormonal instruction set that are being used to help develop a child that are specific for gender, amongst other things we're finding. But there's extremely different amount of fat content and etc.
And by the way, nice to see you, Andreas. Welcome back to stream for a minute.
Thank you.
Nice to see everyone else. But so again, brain bleed, that's what the definition of being retarded was you had a brain bleed when you were born. And it meant you would have developmental delays, and thankfully the brain heals a lot more than we realized 20 years ago. But again, look around you and try to have conversations with even people, myself.
Talk to your friends about your girlfriend's vaginas. Sorry, Andrew, what were you about to say?
There's a trend with C-sections and developmental delays as well. So I don't know if you could pin it.
Yeah, but pre-planned C-sections. Oftentimes C-sections happen after prolonged labor, and so of course then there's going to be other complications in the brain. And to say that, of course, what's between other people's legs is none of my business. But I think brain damage isn't a woman's issue. Infant brain damage is not a woman's issue. And we're calling it autism because it's mean to call it retardation.
My question is that we've gotten this far, 30,000 years or more, of humans having birth from, why don't you trust the vagina to do its job, Stefan?
Well, because an infant's skull is collapsible, but so is mine if I smash it against the wall. The brain inside is not collapsible. And, there's some infants that are born and they know the song that was being sung to them for 6 months while they were in the womb. And people remember being born. I remember being circumcised. And I had a recurring dream of that throughout my childhood, which was interesting.
It's a horrible thing to remember. I'm sorry that happened.
And I didn't know that's what I remember being pressed into something, and then someone was manipulating my junk.
Dude, I mean, if you look at the skull, though, the Hebrew word for the skull is rosh, which means rose. It has to do with the blossoming, because the skull will blossom open as your birth.
Yeah, and that's fine. So will mine if I smash it against the wall.
I think the process of being born is it's a spiritual thing too, and I think that having to go through that traumatic event with the person that is bringing you into the world is. I think that there's some. I'm not sold on the whole. I mean, yeah, sure. In case of emergency C-section, all the way.
No. Again, I'm anti-emergency C-section. If you're gonna, in theory.
He likes it scheduled because then it's immediately safe. You have a
And
guaranteed
there's
success. But there's problems still with cesareans because there's I think what you disagree. I mean
I no listen again. I'm shaking my head because every time I read this, it lists things that apply only to emergency C-sections and not pre-planned C-sections. But I think I appreciate we actually discussed it this time, and I love counter arguments. I mean, I'll take the other side,
Yeah.
With C.
I love this Freudian can of worms we got going on.
True. Well established from speculative because there may be immunity issues with C-section. C-sections can affect early immune development, but it's not usually accurate to say they cause immunity problems in a simple, direct way. The main idea is babies born vaginally get exposed to more maternal, vaginal, and gut microbes.
Yes, and sometimes they get pooped on too. And so my theory is, okay, let's take a scoop of your vagina goop and some poop and make some holy water out of it. And once you take the baby out of the C-section, just dunk it in the shitty vagina goop holy water. And now the baby has an immune system. Again, if that's really what you're worried about, we're talking about brain damage. A 1 in 4 to 5 chance that your child is not going to understand why it's the slowest kid in math. And again, it might be very good at math later in life.
Sounds like the cool kid who needs.
I think we deserve to be told and shown a video of how much head trauma we had as infants when we were born, because it would explain. We would have a lot more patience with ourselves.
Oh wait, actually, Andrew, what do you think of this? Maybe if you have enough trauma during your birth, it helps you forget who you were in your past life. So if you're a C-section, you might have more remembrance of your past life because you didn't have the trauma that blocks that.
Yeah. So why would you want to carry that baggage that isn't really
maybe you have latent abilities from a past life. What if you were a samurai warrior or some shit and it's just baked into your blood in some mysterious way?
Be able to chop your way out, no problem.
I feel
my tone of voice is obnoxious, little in the stance that I'm taking here. So again, and I don't have any children myself, and if I did, I would probably just be so sensitive about the topic that I wouldn't dare bring it up in public because it's way outside the Overton window. So feel free to admonish me as well. I mean, it's
I think
I would never.
I'm a C-section baby, and we've come up with this interesting
I'm also
fact.
a C-section baby.
Yeah, I like a lot of C-section babies. I think the people I know who were born a C-section.
We also got big heads.
We all got big heads.
Yeah, but do you realize if you're a C-section baby, it means your heart stopped? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I couldn't hear Andrew. What do you say, Andrew?
Oh, I just said that explains so much. I have a much deeper understanding of who you two are as individuals.
Because of my C-section origin.
I joked that I got stuck in my mother's pelvis before the doctors cut me out, and she was unconscious and probably would been dead had she not been at the hospital to be kind of kept on.
Quake's a C-section baby. Quake's super smart too, actually. That makes sense. I mean, I don't know.
So here's the left turn. Sorry. We'll round out the conversation, maybe switch. But the idea, so it's called child labor, and I'm not talking about kids working in the mines. Okay, so there's a child who's 16 who gets pregnant. Are you saying that the doctors should forcibly parturiate her, even if she wants to have a C-section? Who gets to shoot? The question is, which women get to go to the doctors and say, "I want my insurance to cover this," and it works, and that's the real issue.
True. I feel like if you're giving out pro-choice abortions, they should give out C-sections just as much. It's not about the choice of death or life necessarily. It should be the choice of quality.
No, but so sometimes babies die during labor. So technically, it's called a late-term abortion, or it's even called a partial birth abortion. And so in America, that's the women define the right to have access to proper medical care when they're pregnant and giving birth as literally the right to have an abortion up until the last moment, because sometimes by accident that happens. And so you could avoid that situation entirely. Now, granted, there's not enough infrastructure to do this. I mean, India apparently just canceled some big medical exam and there's 1 million people waiting to take it. So apparently there's people who, could come here and start businesses but so in other countries, the right to have access to proper medical care for a woman who's pregnant and about to give birth means that she has the option to kind of pay for a little extra for a pre-planned C-section. Now, granted, if you're in labor for more than 48 hours, that probably costs $500,000. And the idea that that's cheaper than something else, but it is. So in architecture, so why do I always suck up all the air?
You know what? Maybe it shouldn't. Maybe it shouldn't be just available. Maybe it should be enforced. forced
Yeah,
C-section.
mandatory.
Yeah, no,
Oh,
yes,
But it's
yes,
separate. The
yes.
thing is, it's inevitable. We're inevitably headed towards the Japanese
No.
fetus synthetic fetus womb and synthetic.
No,
womb.
but if you choose
Because
vaginal
once you're-
birth, it means you're retarded. You can't examine the data,
But you could get a thing about it.
and so your rights are taken away from you, and you're given a C-section.
You would take the baby out sooner and sooner and sooner because you would get to the point. Because it'd be easier and easier if the smaller it is to just develop it.
And ideally, what you're saying is if you have a working incubator system.
Yeah, like what if you could suck a fetus out and then
Right,
raise it in
but
the most optimal technological?
Even then, the lungs don't have lots of complications in those situations. And I'm not an advocate for pre-planned elective C-sections that are any. You want to do it as close to the date as possible, and some women actually prefer to go into labor to like really wait for it, and then they get the C-section. Other women want to avoid that.
I like Andreas's idea.
Yeah, how long do you think it'll be though before incubators are safer? I mean,
yeah, it's like I don't have to deal with this for 9 months. I could do it in like 3 months and then extract it and then ensure that it's crazy and super.
You're talking
childish.
about the complications of natural birth and that this new cesarean surgery is maybe safer. So where's the line? Why not just move it completely to incubation? Because then abortion would be completely outright banned. You would have no reason for abortion if you had incubation.
Because the state would be like, "Yo, fuck that! Give me that fetus. You're not gonna throw this shit away.
That's
We're
a
gonna."
taxpayer.
Yeah, exactly. Screw that. We're not gonna waste.
That was originally. So my parents' generation said that they didn't want to have kids because essentially they were going to create another soldier for the United States Army, and this was the time of Vietnam and war in Korea. And back in the day of Caesar too, the notion that sometimes when women died and they were sent to the coroner, they would always cut their belly open, which is a reference. That's why Jesus, they pierced his side because he was an effeminate-looking man. Get it? Anyways, so when there was a baby in there, that was, he was oftentimes a vassal of the state, and oftentimes they were breech babies because that was, the women would die more often into breech birth, and those men were often known to be very intelligent and super capable, and somehow able to kind of traverse all realms in society and classes, and was it because they were a vessel of the state or a ward of the state, or was it because they were just blessed a little bit more at birth, not to, like Will Smith, like "Welcome to Earth," boom, is like that was when he popped open the UFO and the alien kind of popped out at him, and that's kind of what we all got on the way in, So.
Wait, go ahead.
Is there a chance, like I think you mentioned like the brain heals though too, right? I mean, so like you can bounce back from that, and I mean, sometimes you go through these trauma experiences and you kind of like come out like a little bit stronger too. It doesn't kill you, right? Like,
yeah, I agree. So everyone could use a little brain trauma now and then.
No, and some people are told as their children that they literally are retarded, and then by the time they're 30, they're like, "I don't get it." But think about how much that affects your ego and your self-esteem,
identity.
That's definitely a whole different thing there for sure. Because you're right. Yeah, being kind of like getting affected by this, but like kind of like growing out of it eventually. It's like if you were going into this, people call you retarded, and then eventually you kind of grow out of it, and it's like, wait, I'm not.
Well, that's a test. There's a certain number cutoff that they call. I mean, it's a medical term in theory, but right outside of that, when I was growing up, right, the biggest insets were retarded and were FAGGOT or So imagine being someone who grew up homosexual, being told that you scored a 78, and if you had scored an 82, you wouldn't be medically retarded, but technically, and again, it's like, who knows? You could have taken the test on a bad day, and again, maybe cannabis or certain products create neuroregenerative effects that are highly
psilocybin.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
So
Jake Paul says his dad had a stroke and was like 60% of himself for months, and then he went and took him to have on an ayahuasca treat, and he's like the old him came back or something.
You know what? Maybe what could also happen is like a piece of your like material mind must die so that you have full access to the Akashic records or some shit, or your higher self, I guess. So then you could, it's like, oh yeah, now that I got out of the way through some traumatic brain injury, now my spirit could connect with the all.
Yes, no, and it's savant syndrome, right? And that we call autism something, and it's something that is, it used to be 1 in every 200, and now it's 1 in every, what was it, 4 or 5, right? Because that's about the same rate as brain bleeds,
Wait. Seth, go ahead.
Sorry, this is kind of like testosterone too, because it's like we grow up in a society right now where it's very repressed, like growing testosterone and kind of like the things that would nurture testosterone in men gets really repressed. And once you actually have it, because like some of us I feel have like this sort of puberty in like the age of 30, 35 or something, like there's a great example, I think, Pirate Software, like he talks about having like his voice dropping down to this, and like in his late 30s.
Well, in the vaccines, they put an adjuvanant. Get it? It's like it added Juven, like it added youth. And yeah, I still can't grow a full beard, but yeah, really age 30, 35 before it was.
I've often thought that's the conspiracy, though, is like to reduce hormones and sweeping across the board, because the more extreme in nature polarity that happens, you have an extreme difference between the masculine and the feminine. But in highly dense populations of animals and of humans, the differences actually subdue and they start to mitigate or osmosis into a balance, and you have more masculinity and femininity, or rather you have less of either, and that happens more and more. And I think that's, you start to look at urban zones and how they socio-engineer them to deal with hormones, right? So the preferred lifestyle of the metropolitan is to go to a gymnasium which has ventilation and sucks out all of the sweat and pheromones and hormones from the entire group. So the only place you're getting those pheromones are while you're exercising, which
co-ed naked gym
makes you addicted to the gymnasium experience. But then
they're co-ed and naked, right?
But what do they do with the pheromones, right? Are they just going into a filter? Because also the study of pheromones for, Axe body spray, or for these major companies like Bear and, what's the freaking one that makes everything, that you buy at the store, man? I forget. Like,
Axe body spray or Colgate.
Who owns Gillette? Procter & Gamble. Procter & Gamble studying hormones to make better synthetic perfumes that are attractive. I think this is the inevitable reason for transgenderism, that the it's metropolitan zones often that you see like higher rates of hormonal imbalances. There's higher rates of.
Why do we have armpit hair? What armpit hair is there to provide more surface area for our unique brand of Fremunda, so to speak, our own kind of unique bacterial, fungal, whatever, so that it smells more. Because apparently that was advantageous to our reproductive success to have specifically hair only between our legs and our arms. The one place where if you didn't have hair, it would be much less like stinky, because sometimes, again, even if you don't want to shave your armpits as men, if you just trim the hair down a lot and you literally cut off like a lot of the length of it, you don't need to use as much deodorant and it lasts longer. And it's because there's not as much surface area. I didn't learn that until I was like 35.
But then you're reducing your hormonal collection. And so you have to think about, again, like, isn't that a trend? Is the removal of body hair leading towards hormonal imbalance?
It might have something to do with gain of function. Well, that's like when a person whose brain is injured heals and then their immune system follows, or...
All I know is I'm an air sign, so my corporeal form is my material form isn't really that present in the 3-dimensional realm. I'm very light, airy. I float around.
Oh, wait. Chris, you told me earlier we had a schedule. So we did like tell me the schedule again. The first half hour was current events. The second half hour was what?
Theories, philosophy, ideas.
This is literally, we did it by accident. Yeah. That was totally.
Well, but before there was one other thing that you guys covered, and is it Zerdus Amoeba? Is this the man behind the channel? Is that correct?
No,
or no?
Sorry. A little different looking.
I think we've been on stream together once before. Remind me of your name, please.
Yeah, Sith runs F chat.
Oh, Sith. Thank you. That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
So he's one of those people that actually understands what you're saying when you start talking about computers with Chris and Rafa and.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, he's quite literate, I would say.
Who? Oh, yeah, Sith Lord.
Yeah.
I think for me, I was just like, I have the Sofia Coppola effect where I'm just a dilettante for so fucking long that you eventually like get really deep in all the various holes you're digging. At first, it's all very surface level, but you keep like consistently digging each hole. You get to some weird places of convergence where everything is just eventually connected. And then you get all schizo for a bit, have a spiritual awakening, Kundalini and all that. And then you go back to normal.
Cleaning up with.
It's called schizomogging. When you lean into the schizo type conversation and thinking and externalizing your inner monologue, you're trying to schizomog everyone. You're like, no, I'm the most autistic one in the room. No, me. My artwork is weirder than yours. You know.
Okay.
But so as far as transmuting base metals, because you guys, that was one of the, and it's on my Facebook. It's like the third link, and it's real brief. And it's kind of self-contained. We can actually cover it all the way at the end or something, but it just because it had to do with transmuting base metals and kind of tapping into the Akashic record somehow. And I'll remember to bring it up. Actually, I can do it on my sign out. I'll do it as my sign out.
All right.
And again, I'm going to go ahead and mute myself because I was really enjoying listening to the stream. Why did I join? No,
shame on you. No, it's fine. Wait, Chris.
Yo.
So the first half hour was current events. The second was theories. We're now in the hour. So what's this next half? This is this next 30 minutes.
Oh, it's a fun one. It's movies, media, music, celebrity culture. You know.
Awesome.
Yeah. See, this formatting works. You know why? They reflect the tarot cards. The tarot cards come in 4 suits. Each one represents a different factor of life, and that's what we're doing. This formatting. It works every fucking time for an engaging conversation for 2 hours.
Sith, have you seen any good movies or shows recently, or media of any kind? Games? Did you Just kidding.
Yeah, I watched Jasmine Gold play mixtape.
Yeah, right.
Disclosure Day is coming.
Ted season 2 is oh yeah. First of all, talk about knitting on Jason's heels, man.
Let's finish his sentence. Wait, what are you saying?
I was just gonna say it because like I'm a big boomer shooter fan too. Like I like to play like Doom and just like. Nice. Oh man, what's the Celico? Like these are kind of like obscure. Right now, I play this game called Beyond Sunset. The soundtrack is probably pretty sweet. I could probably put that in your
vibes,
the vanity place there. But these boomer shooters, right? Like so, they had this one called Mouse PI, and I'm sure you guys heard about it too. It's the one with the sort of like Disney
yes,
Mickey Mouse tugboat thing. You know, I think as soon as the tugboat Mickey Mouse tugboat got released there, they made a game off of that, and they just started development. And so they've been doing this for like 4 or 5 years now, and it's like they got like a 6.7 or something like that in IGN, and it's because they had too many cheese puns, and it's just like it's so annoying because these boomer shooters, I feel like they're really well made, and they're made by people that actually give a shit about video games and stuff too, and they want to have like they want like just like the best players to get into it and just enjoy it and enjoy like being challenged and stuff, because like that's why I like I'm not good at them, but I get challenged by them, and it's just like it's fun that way. But yeah,
what makes it a boomer shooter is the interface dumbed down.
Oh, sorry about that. What?
What makes it a boomer shooter? Yeah, you've used the term 4 or 5 times, and that just means there's a certain portion of the audience that
that's a good question. I think boomer shooters.
I mean, compared to another type of. Yeah.
It's like a throwback to just like what the boomer like the FPS. I mean, it's an FPS, true first person shooter, but it's like it's kind of like almost a throwback in a sense. There's a lot of Doom mods, I guess. That's a great example, like of some of these games. I mean, there's games that kind of do have like the Doom style of just like the 8-bit kind of like low res kind of looking style there and everything, and they just kind of make a full game out of it, or they just mod Doom even. But yeah, they call him.
Well, Andreas has like Tim Allen playing over Doom, right? That was what he used. If no one was cooperating or listening to him, he would be like, "All right, guys, unexpected commercial break. Sorry." It was just like now nobody gets to talk.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the Tim Allen mod where.
Yeah. Andreas used to have it on like split second push button, just like as an emergency dump,
I deleted it because I haven't had to use it in a while. But oh my god, if it's not the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
I just recently rewatched the episode with Blake Lemoine where that was
so these days
utilized very effectively.
So besides niche genres, right? I think the biggest genre of gaming right now is friend slop. It's basically games that are really conducive to what we're doing right now, just dicking around on the mic, but together while playing a really stupid game.
Like Arc Raiders.
Arc Raiders, I don't know. It's not like that. Like think of like Among Us, like just different iterations of games like that. because like that produces.
Do you
the
ever
best
play
and funniest content.
Sauerbraten? Do you remember
No.
Cube 2? Okay, so Linux again, but back in the day, 2004, I think they created this game Cube 2, open source, completely. You can compile it on anything. It's actually super underrated. Cube 2 is called Sauerbraten, Cube Engine 2, and this game, man, it's like it's amazing. It's like you're as you're playing the boom shooter, you're also building and tearing apart the level. You can put walls up, tear walls down, you know, and people are going to tell me they have Sauerbraten at home and it's Fortnite with build mode. But I'm telling you, like, this was so much more interesting, and it still exists, and you can play it online with your friends and build a server, and it takes like nothing to run this game. It's super good. I would highly recommend checking out Sauerbraten.
Nice.
The real answer to my question was, Stefan, if you want to know what a boomer shooter is, fucking Google it, buddy. Sorry. Anyways.
Well, is it like boom,
boom
and shoot, you know, like a grenade?
But Andreas used to do that in real time. See, I want to have an episode or a layer called real time research, where Andreas, he used to kind of tell this story. And if someone was talking about something that was obscure, that he was pretty sure not everyone understood. But
let's put it up in the background there, a little wiki, you know.
But that's much more demanding on him as a host, and then he oftentimes doesn't get to participate as much because he's facilitating the storytelling of other people through.
Plus, like, because I'm typing on the laptop, it's like it's what it sounds.
That's ASMR as shit, though. You know, that's how we know you're not a robot.
I can make my robot type. I'm actually going to get my mom this thing. So she's got her old grandma's piano. It's like old, nice. I think it's got like ivory keys from dead elephants that were murdered. Anyway, there's a bar this dude in Germany made. You install in the piano, and it's a MIDI, and it can play the instruments.
I've seen that before. Everything. It's like a tab. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can not only play whatever you want to play through the thing through MIDI from your computer, but you can also record what anyone else is playing, and then have someone come over to the house who's an amazing pianist, have them play it, record it.
Amazing penis.
Anytime, you know, you just listen to that amazing pianist.
But if you have 25,000 elephants and you need to cull 20,000 of them, are you supposed to cut off the tusks and put them in a big pile and then burn them? Because that is what they do now. But they used to just bury them, and then you could dig them up 1,000 years later, and they're usually still fine. But you're still not supposed to use them, apparently, because you wouldn't want to do the Native American thing and use the entire animal and respect it that way. But
I think we're missing out.
It does
on,
create
like,
trade. Yeah.
This is where genetic modification should be happening. Like, I don't want to eat corn that has soy and poison oak DNA in it, but I do want mammoths. And if I could have like a pot-bellied pig that had giant tusks that grew every month and you had to cut off, there'd be something practical about that. And we could be using GMO like to grow better leathers and furs, bigger, furrier sheep or something like that for other reasons than to consume them. But no, let's just like put poison oak DNA in corn. Great.
Well, my poems crush bones into powder. You mumble like a coward. A Mos Def, you need to speak louder. But somehow his lyrics keep coming up.
Now I'm visualizing someone snorting bone powder. Thank you.
He says, my lyrics so visual, then rent my ROM books at your nearest home video. I mean, if you came up with that line in a month, and it's like, what are you doing? I don't know. I'm writing one of the best songs ever, I think. And like once a week, you get like 4 words of it. But again, between Mos Def and the Black Star album with Tommy Quali. I mean,
where's my I just wrote one yesterday. Where was it? I'll meet you in 1965 by the veranda on Veranda Avenue in Mountain View by the cherry tree. Wear 2 colored socks. I don't know where the rest of that's going, but I know it's important to me, you know?
Well, and see, that's what's lovely is you could just drop that into a variety of prompt engines and get some sort of visual.
Stefan, I got a question for you. What do you think? What do you think is a quality that makes for good lyrics? Like, what do you think defines good lyrics? What do you think makes them good?
And again, I guess now that I have the hair again, maybe I can be a Stefan. I was always a Stefan. I said if I was an artist instead of an architect. But the question was, how do you get the most out of?
What makes good lyrics, bro? What makes good lyrics? Curse words.
Because I have an answer, but I want to hear yours first.
The hard R. What makes good lyrics? Tell us.
It's a demonstration that people with dark-colored skin not only aren't inherently less brainified than any other color of skin, but the greatest poets of our entire generation are pretty much 99%.
I think
And they get up on stage, and apparently they're taking drugs that impair their ability to do things, and they still they regurgitate 10,000 words into the audience, word for word without stuttering once. And more people know lyrics to that than the Bible.
Okay. So I think, in my opinion, what makes good lyrics good is imagery. Is when the lyrics, no matter how they're splayed out, they could invoke a sense of imagery with strong emotional attachment.
So if you could do that, the cocktail napkin you wrote your number on that night, you thought the one I used to wipe my tears off that night, you thought you made me cry.
Yes, stuff like that, or like lipstick on the collar and some saucy shit.
Bubble gum stuck to the ashtray filled with ashes that spilled on the floor all over the receipts from every fast food restaurant we visited on this road trip.
And for the record, this is not an original insight of mine. I got this from an anime about a band, like this teenage band. They were trying to start a rock band, and then they were discussing lyrics, and he's having trouble writing lyrics, and then he finally wrote a song when he wasn't trying, and they were like, "Oh, this is good imagery."
So there's imagery. There's go ahead.
I was gonna say if that's the case, and it's not only lyrics, it's just literalisms in general. When you write anything, the goal of writing is to express as many details that you can build your world from. So
but there's another element.
A picture is worth 1,000 words, and if you can do it,
But there's another thing for text literature to be seductive. It can't be too literal in what it's implying. You have to be a master of implication, to imply something as opposed to just spelling it out all the time. Which is why
so there's no right answer, right? Because we're all throwing things against the wall. What does
the fox say?
What does Mr. F chat? What makes good lyrics for him?
There's a point. I think there's a coherent point to this. If you're trying to seduce somebody, you don't just say, "Hey, I think you're hot. I like your tits. I want to fuck." No, you got to say implication. I mean, it's more conducive.
Okay,
it's more fun.
Right.
It's more fun.
The same way. In a comedy routine, you can have. Okay, go ahead.
Hold on.
Sorry, not Mr. F chat. Sorry, Mr. Sith. Yes,
it's either one.
That was a cannabis.
Here you go. Life's not a bitch. Life is a beautiful woman. You only call her a bitch because she won't let you get you that pussy. Maybe she didn't feel y'all shared any similar interests, or maybe you're just an asshole who couldn't sweet talk the princess. Kiss the speaker wire. Peter pacifism pegging threshold. Stomach full of halo kibbles. Wingspan cast black upon vigils. Hear the duck hunt ticker tape vision and pick apart the pixels. I got a friend of polar nature and it's all peace. You and I seek similar stars but can't sit at the same feast. Metal Captain. This cat is asking. I seen his little post lost passions. Told him, yeah, but only when I pedal past him. All I ever wanted was to pick apart the day, put the pieces back together my way. All I ever wanted was to pick apart the day, put the pieces back together my way.
Damn.
Aesop Rock.
Where'd you pull that? Oh, it's okay. How about Epic Rock Marvels? Everyone know that channel where they actually don't pronounce it.
He's very cryptic, and that's what I like about him. Is I love his songs because they're so cryptic and they connect in different ways. And so I listened to his whole albumography. I forgot what you call that, but
discography.
Discography, yeah. Anytime he comes out with something new, I'm just on it, because it's I got to hear this new. What is he going about? What has he got now? What's he on about?
The cryptic. I think cryptic. So that's what I would say is the details are literisms, and lyrics crypticism is actually more important. So American Pie by Don McLean is a fantastic song, because it's so specific about what it's about. It's about the death of Buddy Holly. American Pie. Talks about Bob Dylan, the Jester.
All right, what about Hallelujah?
Well, Aesop Rocky.
Aesop Rock, not Rocky.
Aesop Rock. Okay, Aesop Rock, and Aesop is the guy who's attributed to lots of fables, like the boy who cried wolf, and the one about the crow that dropped the stones in the water to get the thing to rise up, which is apparently actually true.
The lion and the mouse, and the paw.
Yes,
grasshopper and the ant. There's a lot of them. Yeah. Wait, Terrorist, you were about to say something about Hallelujah?
Yeah, that evokes some pretty serious.
The song or Hallelujah, Hallelujah. By Jeff Buckley. Cohen.
Yeah, Cohen. Sure, I like the Jeff.
Well, so another component of lyric writing in rap, in particular, is storytelling, and sometimes on albums, artists will pick specific songs. Like Nas had a song that was backwards, and it started with someone shouting out the window, "Yo, we just found that guy we got to kill," and then it goes backwards all the way to like him, waking up in bed, and then like the girl's panties go back on her body, and the blunt gets bigger, and it's the way he not only tells a story, he tells it backwards like Memento style. And so storytelling, that was more like old school rap, where what's his name, Slick Rick, where it was a story about his day.
What up, Big L? You like Big L?
KRS-One.
For sure.
KRS-One, Nas. I know.
And what's happening, there's a rapid juxtaposition of concepts that rhyme, and the artist is choosing to present them quickly to make your mind maybe associate them. And then sometimes that could be contradictory, and sometimes it can be kind of reinforcing something that's obvious. And now what the new trend, though, is, this lyric could mean this, or it could mean that. In the lyrics book, that was the thing, all the album notes, it always listed the lyrics. Well, but if you listen to it the third time through the chorus, he doesn't say it like this, he says it like this. And so now there's not only double and triple entendres, there are literally quadruple entendres that are like documented through VH1 programs, where the artist now says, yes, I acknowledge that, maybe the first time I sung it, I only intended two of the meanings. And then the more I sang it, I realized that it's basically the same phrase literally 4 different ways. So again, you can look up triple, quadruple entendre to find an interesting one of these like mind nuggets. But anywho, so those are these are all correct answers to what makes good lyrics.
Let's rewind. Let's rewind a bit. What you were saying about storytelling, that's actually a good convergence point to what really changed music, which was the application of videos, presenting music videos. And that has a really interesting and rich history in and of itself, because arguably it, like a lot of actual cinematic movie directors got their start making music videos. It's pretty interesting because at first it was kind of a chore for bands and musical acts to make videos. They were like, fuck that. Like, we just have to like record this stupid live demo so that we could send it to the TV station and maybe they'll let us play, like on their show or something.
I would play it, but we're monetized, so I can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. No, yeah. I actually did that so you guys know what I was like going off of, and you can check it out.
I've heard
what they say. What Kevin James, or the guy who made Mallrats, he said about if you're working with your friends and you want to keep them as friends, work on a small project like a music video or a movie. Even is a big project, but there's an end date. If you end up working on a show with them, or no, maybe it was the other way around. I think he said by the time you're done working on the movie, you're also sick of each other.
Yeah, you hate each other if you work on a movie. Yeah.
Right. You end up hiring all your friends and oh boy.
Okay, but we're at 4 more minutes on this subject. So, okay, Chris, what movie or music or media did you consume recently?
No, I'm excited for Disclosure Day coming in June. I can't wait for the propaganda slop. I'm a pig at the trough, man. I'm there. Yeah.
Did you get money for that, Andreas? No.
For what?
Wait, for what? Disclosure. Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't even.
You never heard of Disclosure Day?
I'm not disclosing anything about what I know.
It's like my people will talk to your people. Your people tapped into the CIA to push out those.
Can you guys hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. There was something really, really interesting that I just watched the other day. The freaking roast of Kevin Hart. Did anyone else see this?
No.
Anyone?
I refuse.
Yes, of course I did. I scour the corners of the internet and try to bring stuff to Andreas's, but yeah.
Cat Williams, Kevin Hart's biggest op in the entertainment industry, really just spoke some truth about Kevin Hart. And of course, if you're familiar with The Rock and his legacy in entertainment, you know that he's quite gifted at talking smack, laying the smack down verbally. And I think he was pretty gentle with Kevin Hart. He definitely could have gone in a lot harder, but the way that he was, it's worth the watch if you are familiar with.
I don't know anything about Kevin Hart, but I love Freemasonic trials, and obviously this is
it's a struggle session.
A roast.
You're burying the lead, though.
Trial. Yes.
Yeah.
Because
the joke about how he. Oh, yeah. He said, Kevin, I bet you weren't born via pre-planned C-section, and it was the biggest diss of the night. You know?
But with the roast, what you do is you pull out someone who's actually publicly discredited themselves, and then they have a trial essentially. And instead of having a trial where you're trying to attack the person, you have as many people that can provide, you know, in the roast, something that you can appreciate about that person. And at the end, if it's funny enough, then they're not guilt or they're not punished. They're not punished with, you know, whatever the judgment is, the extreme judgment. There's an atonement and a forgiveness that happens.
One of the panelists,
Justin Bieber,
Hugh Hefner.
Her husband killed herself like 3 years ago by jumping off a roof, and 3 different comedians made a joke about how, geez, I'm glad that didn't happen to me. Otherwise, I would have fucking killed myself. Like someone said. At first, I didn't know if it was true, but I think I don't know. Usually, roast the rule is there's like no boundaries, and they joke about race and this, that, and the other. But the fact that 3, even one of them deciding to make a joke about that is just.
But if I go to
very
Wikipedia
strange.
and I look up Kevin Hart, will there be a
Very
controversy section, or do you have to tell me like what are the controversies in his life?
He got canceled from the
Oh, I
Oscars.
think like the most controversial thing that he did was say that if he found out that his son was gay, he would like break a dollhouse over his head.
I'll break a dollhouse over.
Like probably the gayest way that you could discipline a child.
That's so funny.
Short of, you know, anyways, yeah. But and some people
Because his parents let him play with the dollhouse, and he turned Kevin Hart. He's one of those people that he's so rich that you would never know, but like all the people around him and his handlers and his stylists. But if you're a high net worth individual and you don't want people hitting on your women, then having a bunch of really competent gay men around might, you know, you don't really care what anyone else thinks, but he certainly he would be his like frenetic pace. It would be described as gaiety in the past, a display of high intensity energy, and he's just kind of going off about things, almost like John Leguizamo.
And merriment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. Celebrity culture, like I can't follow these people's lives. I just cannot. Like
this was your
can't.
subject, by the way.
I mean, movies and shit, and like media, and like I guess it's part of the culture. But you know what?
You're the only person I can hear, Andreas.
I can say that like talking about people leads to events, which leads to the ideas behind the events. So I think that's pretty cool. It's worth it.
Well, okay, so that's that half hour. Now this is the final section. What's this chapter about?
The personal stuff, like personal shit. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Our feelings, how we emotionally feel about certain situations and events. And I guess I'll start. I feel nostalgic right now because I was just watching Vine compilations, and I was kind of like thinking about how when Vine was still a thing, things were still more whimsical and fun. And then things got less fun after Vine died.
Yeah.
Well, Vine was bought by Twitter and then Deep Six, and the 4 guys that built it out of their maybe the 4 guys that built it out of their garage each got like 10 million each, which was a dream for them, and they were kind of bummed. But then it became Musically, and then it became Songify or whatever, and there was these apps where people would lip sync and dance, and then it turned into TikTok.
Yeah, but
and in an old who's the redheaded
like little pieces together into these little vines that were like, I had cool vines, I thought, because I studied film, you know, and I remember in the old days you used to have only so many frames, and so you would film something and you cut literally by just stopping the 6-8 millimeter camera and then film something else. And so it's like Hong Kong movie editing, and there was a lot of people that were interested in that at the time. So it was just in camera editing. Vines were really artistic.
Yeah, they were. Some of it was just hilarious. Like this, you had these kids just get like spitting out bangers. It's like, oh, I got afflicted with cool kid syndrome. Now I take Adderall. And I was just like, what the fuck?
And initially, the premise was that when you hit the button, it had to be 6 seconds of continuous of video. And then Logan Paul initially made a big splash on the platform because he figured out how to hack the algorithm. So it looked like he was going to jump over a car, and he was able to pull stunts where he edited within the 6 second frame. And then they added that feature later as something that everyone could use. But as the platform was rolling out, there was a certain artistic, as you were saying, like integrity to the 6 second video. And how much can you maximize into those 6 seconds, and what can you do that's dynamic that you haven't seen or hasn't gone viral, or and you might be stealing a trick from an old movie. Like the word TikTok, Danny Kaye, who's a redheaded musical talent actor extraordinaire, in one of his songs, whenever he had a free moment, he would like look over at the children in his family and he would go TikTok, TikTok, and they would all recite these limericks and rhymes and songs, because that's how you pass time. And it was like
that's where rap music comes from, right? And you notice like Afro-Caribbean, African music, there's not rap. All of a sudden, you get the Irish and Celts and Welsh that were mining culture. They would do rounds underground in order to keep time while they were underground working. And then the chain gangs. This is all, an appropriation, ironically. So next time you hear some
we're lucky
rap
we
music,
have tones.
And
As far
also
as stealing
remember
fire from Prometheus or from God. Oh yeah, the English language is really powerful.
Remember also the black pastors around that certain time where they would just go on these like divine ramblings that would just run on, and it just sounded like it flowed really nice. And I bet that had like a huge impact on, like, I don't know, young kids who grow up to go into music, I guess. Yeah, how's everyone?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry, just
Benjamin from okay, go ahead.
How are you guys doing health wise? Like, how's your physical form? Are you guys feeling good? Are you guys feeling balanced?
Yeah.
Do you want to feel my prostate? Because I can't tell.
I did. Okay, this is ironic. Like I burnt. You know how people get a blister on the back of their foot? It's horrible, and you never wear those shoes because of that. And so I was in the steam thing, and I had the steam vent came out, and it gave me a blister right where you get a blister from a shoe. And I was like, that's not fair.
Man.
Otherwise, though, I'm sleeping like a lot less. I'm going to bed earlier and getting up earlier. I've noticed that. I'm feeling healthier than I feel healthy, and I feel healthier than I was.
Well, now I'm concerned for my prostate because like Stefan mentioned it, and I'm like,
you should, but like, you see that
Who's
I feel like
taking their vitamins today?
they're just trying to they just want you to get pegged. This is all the prostate conspiracy.
Well, the question is, who's had a cannabinoid panel done?
Pay.
No, prostate exams
what is this FFM peg, which is apparently sex kernel is not like it's like a dirty joke, but there's something called FFM peg, which is how you would describe a movie with 2 women and a man while they were pegging him.
Yeah.
And they said Lex Friedman's last podcast on that shit was. But anyways.
So wait, basically, prostate exams are just a scam by Big Peg to try to get you to get pegged.
It's funny because as that was happening, I was porting FFmpeg libraries over to my microkernel, and I thought it was really interesting of all the things that they were going to pull up, that they'd pull up FFmpeg, but it's a really important group, and their association with the AV1 codec, the HVEC codec. I mean, it's crazy to see where things are. Yeah,
this is probably using FFmpeg, I'm sure.
Yeah,
what we're using to communicate here. There's encoding that's probably using that library. And then decoding as well. So yeah, it's everywhere. It's just like Linux. It's everywhere.
I mean, you can't threaten me with a good time. Isn't that what they say? It's like, I'd shove my foot so far up your ass, it's going to come out your mouth, but I'd be threatening you with a good time.
You should write a rap about prostates.
Is it too loud for you to tell us about your personal section of the subject, or do you want to tell it? It's your chance.
He's got kids, man.
All right. I'll speak on it. Hopefully it's not too loud.
I like it because it sounds like you sound like you're in like the war. You're like in Iraq in a Jeep right now. It's great. I hear the desert behind you.
Yeah. Well, it's hard. Well, there's just bad audio in this car. I think it's like from it's hands-free, so it's Bluetooth from like over 10 years ago. So
I like it. It's like it's not a bug. It's a feature. It's a sonar aesthetic. Keep going.
As far as my health, I don't know. I feel like I'm calorie neutral, which is not great. I would love to be at a surplus, but maybe my higher power is just preparing me for this imminent famine that they're planning for us. Yeah. Anyways, but aside that, you brought up the prostate. I'm anti-state. But speaking of butt plugs, I went like weird I went like micro viral for like posting one of my stupid like everyday carry fit checks, and like the caption was, "Flock cameras are no match for my Wi-Fi jamming butt plug," and I got like my follower count like quadrupled. in a matter of like a week and a half.
It resonates with people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right.
You know what the people want to hear.
Yeah.
How are there not cell phones in that shape? I mean, how are there not? Like, I don't know.
People were asking, where can I get one? There was at least like 20 comments, where can I get one? Where can I get one? Like, and obviously it would be, you could make one, it would just be illegal to operate.
It's a backup. You steal a woman's purse and she's in the middle of nowhere. All she has to do is find an alley and she's got a backup phone. You know, no one's going to take unless, you know. So, and as far as like, the problem is would it become mandatory to like equip your children with them eventually? And that's where,
it's like
in Idiocracy, Fuddruckers becomes, you know.
Sith, are you healthy?
Like,
how do you feel?
I try. This year I got a long like history and stuff. Like I've been just like bouncing around the country in the past year. So
really?
Like I finally have a consistent place to live at. And this
did
past
you pick
year,
a state?
What's that?
Which state did you pick?
Florida.
Oh, cool. All right.
Yeah,
I like it there.
A lot of shit's going down around here too. It's pretty wild with all the politics and stuff.
Right.
But yeah, no, I wake up every morning. I didn't do it this morning. I'm going to do it after this, actually. I try to exercise, lift some weights. You know, I'm a bigger guy, so I'm trying to like reduce, you know, cut the fat out and everything and just eat healthy. And yeah.
Do the opposite. Eat as much fat as you can and don't eat any carbohydrates. Go as close to keto as you can handle. Try to avoid beer and sugar and carbohydrates and eat.
I get all
and just tell everyone you're really sorry in advance for being in a shitty mood all the time. No, I'm just kidding. The brain is the organ in the body that uses the most calories, and so if your blood sugar is low,
the fat's better for your brain. The more fat you eat, the ketosis, the ketones, right? Yeah.
I get all my health advice from Twitter, honestly.
Yeah, right.
It's the best source.
Not health advice. Sorry, YouTube. My bad.
The South Beach diet, the logic was if you go on a carb fast for a while, your body shifts the type of chemicals it produces during digestion, and also a greater portion of your blood energy, some of it comes from fat. When your blood sugar drops, your body takes fat out of storage and breaks it down into carbohydrates that then can get processed in the same way that blood sugar does. And so at any given point, you might be running 60-40, 40-60, and you're either burning more sugar or more fat. And if you're about to go do a high intensity fast twitch muscle exercise, you know, even a dose of sugar on the tongue sometimes will psychologically trick the brain into releasing more adrenaline and having faster reaction time, that sort of thing. But what do I know?
But
I like creatine.
Yeah.
That's fun. Yeah, and I do it for like the exercise, and then I do it afterwards. I take a double dose, and I mean that's just like Adderall too, but like you know it's a lot cleaner for sure. Yeah, I've been getting into that as well. So
finishing the thought on the South Beach diet. So after 3 weeks, again, your body shifts the chemicals, and then you can slowly start to eat even carrots or tomatoes, because at certain points, literally even carrots and tomatoes are considered carbs. But once the South Beach diet, the premise of it is that after about 2 or 3 weeks, your body has shifted, and now you don't have to restrict your carbs for forever. But the body gets out of whack with how available sugar is in the diet, or maybe again, if you're carb loading for a marathon or something afterwards, you would want to shift your body back to. So there's people go through bulking phases and leaning phases that do these fitness competitions, and
that's wild.
And if you look at a dog that you can see its ribs, and a dog that's really fat, and then there's one in the middle, where it's like, you know, but like which one's going to live the longest? The one that you can see its ribs is like borderline emaciated. No, I mean, and if it ever got lost, that thing relies on getting 3 meals a day. You know,
eating your own fat is actually. You don't just eat randomly. Your body selectively digests itself, and usually starting with the random potential radical cells that could become tumors. So fasting is a really good way to help avoid tumors or to mitigate them if they start to develop.
I was just thinking, if you got like a liposuction and use your own fat for cooking, it's like, yeah, that's my shit.
Might be an autoimmune though. That's what I'm thinking.
What I wanted to do is like get fat, and then like I wanted lipo in Panama and get it in a cryo vault, and then store my fat for like 40 years, and then use that for stem cell therapy on myself.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And maybe that'll be enough genetic material to create a physical form, while the AI could preserve your mind, and then we could create a whole nother Andreas 2,000 years in the future.
Oh, come on! You would inject the fat into your lips in your backside, just like everyone does. Come on,
I mean,
let's face it.
You got to be paying attention to the bicentennials.
You got me.
There's a dude in Peru who's like 138. He just died recently. There's like people that are living longer and longer. We're past the 120 law of God. You know, in the Bible it says that God cut from 700-year-old Noah to after the flood. He's like, that's it. We're 120. No one's allowed to live past 100. We're past that now. We're into the Methuselah Melchizedek immortality period, and in our lifetime we will see people that will live to 300, and therefore people alive today, but it's within 300 years, because of the acceleration of technology, unless we really screw things up, we're going to see 1,000-year.
It's going to be Brian Johnson, 350 years old, and we're going to be like, man, I wish I kept track of my son's balls and wife's vagina like he did.
Right. That's why I pay attention. That's why I follow him and I click the bell for more notifications.
Well, if your daughter, again, your 16-year-old daughter was pregnant, going, Daddy, just watch the video of parturition, and you're not going to let them do that to me, are you? And you're going to go, no, honey, go with the man in the white coat. He's going to insert both his forearms up inside of you, and she's going, no, I just want a C-section. And so some people are pro-child labor, and some people are anti-child labor. And personally, I'm anti-child labor.
Have any of
Or at
you
least
ever seen
C-section,
like, a child being born in person?
This is kind of random, but like the cyber
forced to watch it in third grade on TV, and they didn't. You know what they didn't show us though?
In person is different. It's much different in person than on TV. Just like seeing murder.
All right.
No, the question is, have you ever been at one where either the baby or the mother died? Is the question.
I just went to a funeral for a woman, 30 some odd years old, who they couldn't operate on her and remove the baby, and so she gave birth to the baby and she died. And it's just completely tragic. You know, this is happening all the time. And so yeah, if we had actually focused more on making it possible to incubate. Quake was talking about how he was 3 months premature. Premature is probably better than immature. But I still think we're at a point where we're not focusing enough on how to do that, and we're focusing more on abortion. I think that's the issue.
Hold on.
Okay.
It's all because people, which king wanted to see their children being born? Like, there are all sorts of other positions that are much more conducive to a child traveling through the birth canal and out of the vagina, and that are not a woman laying on her back so that, it's easy for a doctor or whoever to see the baby coming out. The hips close up, all sorts of shit.
Standing birth is the way to do it. Right?
Well, and plus it makes the woman a better mother, because the theory is it deadens the nerve endings, and she's less likely to be a sexually deviant, and as a result, as a numbers game, if all women get parturated, then there's more family structure.
Stephen,
maybe
you're a strange man. I have actually another question though for Sith, because Sith was telling me about his, he's talking about his health, but then he mentioned he traveled around the country. I was wondering if you'd like to tell us, Rick, this is the personal section stuff, a little bit about regale us of your adventure. Like, what have you been doing, and what led you to Florida? Like, why have you been traveling so much?
Okay, so the past year, I decided to go on a little road trip, head to Austin. I'm from Connecticut.
Oh yeah, where in Connecticut are you from?
I'm from East Hartford originally, and
really?
then I kind of lived around there. Yeah,
that's hilarious. I lived in Norwalk and in Sono, and I think we've talked about this probably at some point, right?
I think I've heard you talk about it. Yeah. I'm
a
first time, long time.
Yeah, Connecticut's great. I actually, in a weird way, really liked Connecticut. I mean, a lot of my friends that are from Connecticut, I like a lot too.
Some great people there for sure. Yeah. I think that it's kind of getting, it's like Florida's the complete opposite. You got Ron DeSantis just doing all these crazy things to really build up everything around here. I kind of like what's going on. And just kind of being aware of some of the things that are kind of helping us as people. And Connecticut's just the opposite, and it's not even good versus evil. It's they don't even give a shit about anybody there. They just care about their own wallets.
They got what they got, and they're not trying to. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and they're trying to just solidify their their leadership and stuff. And you got that like that lady that what's her name? I can't think of her name, but like the one with the purple hair. She does.
I know a few of those.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, she was in a hearing. She was doing something. She was like crashing out at a hearing. Like there was a video of it like a few weeks ago, and you'll see her, Rosa Delora, you'll see her like in videos, and it's just funny because like whenever I see Connecticut on like the timeline of Twitter, I'm just like, oh God, here's another thing. Here's another reason why I left. Pretty much. I mean, yeah. I pray. I hope that they find their way there in that sense.
I always think about the natures. I like how there's like all these old graveyards from like the first New English settlers, and it's like so weird. You go behind a neighborhood and you're going through this like ancient cemetery. There's all the witch trial stuff, and I don't know. And then the Skull and Bones. Like there's a lot of interesting stuff going on in Connecticut, and great jam bands. I'm just saying, like New Haven, if you like music.
Oh yeah, I spent some time in New Haven. That was my place for a little bit too. Yeah, I'll tell you about the
too much fentanyl. I think there's a lot of problems with that for sure. But dude,
that's like what the past 20 years, right? Oh.
Yeah, it's gotten worse. I'm sorry, I got ADD and I saw Stefan and he's on an adventure, and it felt like we were in Sesame Street, like just exploring Boston.
Yo, I want to see.
What do you think of my sign? What do you think of my sign?
You don't even discriminate against vaccinated people?
Yo, you're a psychopath, brother.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I didn't put that up, actually. Someone put that up on all the local businesses during the pandemic, and I'm the only one that still has it up. So
there was a time when having discriminating taste was a good thing, Stefan. I'm just going to say,
Yeah, man. I want to see you come on the stream drunk.
Like, I've never claimed to be anything but eccentric. Yeah.
I feel bad because like I go on.
Sorry, I just totally stole Chris's thunder there.
And
neither what I said landed nor what he said landed. Yeah.
Show up drunk is all he said.
Yeah, it was a request. I'm asking you to show up drunk sometime. I want to see that. When you're less neurotic, and then you get to like kind of wash that out with some booze, like maybe your free whimsical side.
That neuroticism runs deep in my Jewish genetics.
Oh,
Even when you're drunk, even when you're like shithoused, I gotta see this. I gotta see what that's like.
Well, so there's like
to a bar with Stefan one time, nice old brick bar. We had some Guinnesses, right? I think, and
that's a weak beer.
Yeah, all right, but he was doing okay. It was so interesting to see Stefan have a beer.
Hell yeah,
yeah.
Now we're gonna go shot for shot, brother.
Straight
bourbon.
Alcohol is the devil. I mean, I'd rather smoke 100 joints than drink 10 shots.
Well, that's why you got to face this. That's why we're gonna do it together.
Oh my god!
So the idea that at age 40, whatever, I would need to I don't know. Alcohol does absolutely nothing for me.
This is why I have to see this. I have to experience drunk Stefan.
A bottle of wine and a bottle of bubbly water and a spritzer. You can't just
no. Sake. I went through the whole liquor store trying to go. There's got to be something in here that doesn't taste like shit. And because there's a brewer's code where they put something like turpentine or like Epicac that if you drink a whole bottle of booze, you vomit, and that's our experience with getting too drunk. Is
all right.
But in reality, alcohol will just stop your heart. You understand? If you drink a glass of moonshine, you don't vomit. You just your heart stops.
All right. Counterpoint. Do you understand that we would not have modern civilization without beer? It was probably the earliest reason why humanity actually decided to establish agriculture.
Why are you saying that's like something I would disagree with, or have as that was a counterpoint to something I just said?
Because you're dogging on alcohol, like it's
how am I dogging on alcohol?
It's the devil. You call it
it's not good for the it's not good for the body.
Stop trying to like track.
Never
it back,
touch a black man's radio, and never question a Korean's legacy and love of alcohol.
It's not my
alcohol
legacy.
Was to dissolve your medicines in it. There were certain medicines that were water and alcohol fat and alcohol soluble, and some that were
sterilizes water.
Gin has 40 calories. It does not sterilize water, but that's a fucking medieval. Take a thimble full of moonshine and pour it into the water, and all your cholera. You get cholera in the Middle Ages because you take a thimble full of moonshine and you put it in a glass of water and you go, all done, as opposed to boiling it. But you do you, boss.
Is there a God? Is there an afterlife? Is time a facade? Why has my access been denied to the Mr. Bean themed bar in Vietnam? Mr. Bean themed bar.
It's all love.
Are we alone? Are we alone in the universe? How can I know if we're being blessed or cursed by the Mr. Bean themed bar in Vietnam? The Mr. Bean themed bar.
do they love Mr. Bean so much? And when can we do a group trip to Vietnam to the Mr. Bean theme bar? I'm telling you.
We're gonna go to a Mr. Bean themed bar, and I'm gonna force Stefan to drink 2 pints of fucking the dankest IPA I could fucking find.
I enjoy alcohol, but I recognize it for what it is. I recognize it for what it is, though. And for a lot of people, it's a lot darker. Again, if you know people that drink every day and then every other day they drink too much, and they're out in public with you, and they don't remember how they get home every other day, and it's like, no, those people, I really care about them, and even have a lot of love for them.
Mormon, you know,
but I expect never to see them again. If you see someone blackout drunk in public again, you're like, and they, you know, if you don't remember how you get home once or twice in a week, you probably like really readjust your behavior, you would think. But to be doing it for decades, and somehow again the community takes care of certain people, but.
Well, I mean, some people, right? They do develop like severe alcoholism more likely than others. I mean, I think there's like some kind of tendency there, but. Do you have that, Stefan? Like, are you the kind of guy who wouldn't be able to like not like abstain or something?
Yeah, you were saying if I traveled to Japan, you think that I would have trouble not smoking. You know, the nature of cannabis too. And again, I think that humans co-evolved with cannabis as a much more integral component of our neurobiology than alcohol. But again, there's a place for alcohol, and especially medically, and it's fuel. Technically, it's rocket fuel. You know, I mean, it's so. Yeah, I didn't mean to sound like I was hating on it, but I'm more of a decarboxylation guy. And so with alcohol, yeah, no, I've never had an issue stopping
I'm just
or
like
starting or.
I was just a curiosity because like I was like,
and it's like when I drink, if I haven't drank for a while, I don't go overboard. Yeah.
What's the value of drinking though? Like the more I think about it, like there's so many better things than drinking. Like why are you advocating?
Oh, it's to be fancy, to be super fancy.
But Chris, why are you advocating for alcohol so strongly? I'm just curious.
I don't really advocate for alcohol. Like I said, some people probably shouldn't touch it, but I think it has a social aspect to it. Like it serves as a social lubricant.
So does PCP. I mean, you know, it
really doesn't. As a person who smoked PCP before, I can honestly say it's not conducive to good socializing. Like seriously,
it was the most aggressive way of saying I want to have a beer with you. I think it was just a roundabout way of. That was the New York way of to a guy from Boston saying, "Hey, if we got together, maybe we could have a couple beers or something."
Yeah, well, I said it the way I fucking wanted to say it. All right, I put it exactly the way
in New York. And that's why. Yeah, the way that it feels like it sounds like you feel. That sounds about right. Yeah, New York it was a El Oso. It was a soul coughing song. He said, "New York,
look,
New York, I won't go back."
Socially, I don't think you should do PCP at all. I think that's kind of the limit.
New York, I won't go back. Perpetual reminder of the things I lack. I gave you 7 years. What did you give me back except a growing disposition to a panic attack?
All right. Well, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go on. What were you going to say?
No, you first.
I completely forgot, to be honest.
Great. Good.
So can you pull up my Facebook, Andreas? Eventually in the background too? Yeah, no problem.
Wait. You want me to... You don't have a link for me. You just want me to do this. I have to go.
Yeah, it's like and if that's an issue, I can try to take a screenshot.
Like you've become the #1 Stefan on the Facebook. Okay, where do we go? Down 3 things you said.
Yeah, it's the one. Yeah, right there. Those 2 images. Okay. So as far as literally at the beginning of this video, while I was listening, you played some guy narrating something about someone traveling backwards and forwards in time to give themselves information to transmute base materials into metal. Okay, so if you'll pull up the photograph that I took there, or actually the text first, and I'll read the text.
I just want to make sure everyone gets this. That this is really okay. All right.
I gave that to my plastic surgeon, and So actually pull up the text first. And that's me as a 14-year-old. So this is a self-portrait I took in March.
You and me at 14, bro.
That kid is so cool.
We would have been everyone's enemy. Everyone would have been so annoyed at us. It's so great, Captain.
So at that age, my understanding was I was going to be really good at math and science. And I tested always in the 99th percentile, even in the smart classes. And so I was eventually going to go to college and figure out something molecular and make a discovery. And that was going to be the way I would contribute to the world. And then I got disillusioned with that notion.
You could have also been a great gynecologist.
But so, Andreas, if you can go to the other text image, that one that came with it, because it was a photography assignment.
This guy here? Yeah.
Yes. Let me see if so the assignment was to create a pairing of, so you compose a photograph / blurb pairing. So the blurb is a text that fulfills the following stipulations. Number one, submit a photo that at first glance does not make sense on its own without the accompanying blurb, and compose the photo with subtle details that seem deliberately and yet arbitrarily, maybe awkwardly juxtaposed within the frame. And then also compose the blurb and caption that remarkably and somehow inexplicably manages to connect all the seemingly random dots in the image. So now if you'll go to the image, this is the shot, shot I composed, and it's me being exasperated at the end of a long day. My tie is off to the side.
Ah, there we go. That's the man. That's the boy.
Yeah. Okay. And so the idea is there's ranch dressing, a microscope, two little metallic rocks, and so there's your metallic. There's your base materials are on the left, precious metal on the right. And I didn't know this mythology really growing up. So the fact that it's so spot on. And so those are a pile of pencil shavings.
Oh,
and when I was smoking
I thought that was a blunt wrap and a bunch of tobacco.
Right. Well, I was just starting to smoke weed. It definitely didn't come in containers like that. But
Yeah,
the joke is with THCA weed, I was like, I might as well be smoking catnip or pencil shavings. I'm not getting stoned. And everyone's going, no, when you light it on fire, it magically decarboxylates. But so let me read the caption under, let's see if we can just zoom out or zoom down. So after a hard day's work at the lab, trying to synthesize element 144, and these elements generally are only stable for like 0.8 microns. So Stephen Kalin accidentally discovers it because his cat knocks his baby salad dressing onto his work, thus combining everything. And after the dust settled, he was left with two metallic rocks of super heavy element 144. And somehow, again, the fact that this project existed and that I kept it, I only have one small kind of acid-free box with all my photos in it. And I even kept the blurb that went with it. I mean, and so realizing that is, I gave up on being the scientific nerd, the OCD thinking, using my brain as a place to store information so that hopefully through random access memory it would be, eventually
nice hot micing, bro. Sick.
Yeah.
Well, and I'll wrap it up. But so do you see the parallel with me and decarboxylation? And it's like once I gave up on the dream, I leaned back into the personality that I found and the things I was drawn towards spiritually, religiously. And right there, literally on the table in front of me, I transmuted base materials into precious metals. And the only thing I'm going to say to follow, so May 1st, like 4 years ago, no, maybe 5 years ago, my buddy, maybe 10 years ago at this point, in his backyard, he just moved to Dorchester and he was like burying a post so that he could build like a little gazebo, and he was having a party, a housewarming party. And when I got home, I realized that it was the exact same day that the Illuminati were founded. It was on May 1st. The tradition was to go out into your backyard and bury a pole. And I called my buddy and told him that, and he's like, huh, that's really, really creepy. But I feel like he doesn't really appreciate it as much as I do. And I didn't know that was the ritual that the Illuminati was founded. But so I've all of a sudden, it's that holographic Tartarian effect. But I think
what if you got possessed by a demon during that ritual? I'm kidding.
Did I go around
I'm sure that's not
clockwise or counterclockwise. You're supposed to go around it counterclockwise 3 times, and then.
I'm sure that's not happened.
Mr.
But
Bean theme bar.
And when you're done, you're supposed to have your wife blow tobacco smoke up your backside, which is actually, if you look it up, that's a colonial treatment for hemorrhoids. Is that you were supposed to bend over and your pipe was supposed to blow tobacco smoke up your ass. So
when exactly did you start getting into decarbonated weed?
Decarboxylized? Well, I grew up smoking it because a cartel controlled the distribution and production of it. And it was done in a way where it was scientifically understood and it was consistent and the product was not tainted or you wouldn't, for instance, take a small dose and end up with a big dose, or be looking for a big dose and take a small dose, because those things have serious medical applications. In Massachusetts, they don't even recognize CBD as having a medical effect, but that's the one chemical that can actually kill you.
Calming Sense just said that he has a different take on decarboxylation. I'm going to end this stream because we're 2 hours deep, but like if you want Calming Sense, you've got like 90 seconds to come on the stream with the link I just sent to the common chat and then explain.
He's just going to be repeating something he's read somewhere else. I'm speaking about decarboxylation from a place of studying 8 years
I heard
of
it
math
in a dream
and
I had. All right.
No, and the proof is in the pudding. You get really stoned. Your eyes get red after taking 2 hits.
All right.
Otherwise, you can chain smoke them.
That's your closer. That's what you get. That's what you tell us to do. You don't want us to have vaginal births, and you don't want us to have weed that hasn't been decarboxylated. All right, that's your platform.
It's bad for you.
We
don't even know how bad it is. Like if you're out of sorts, you can't get it.
Wait,
they can test. They can test.
Decarboxylation.
No, let's say someone is having a psychotic episode, and you're trying to figure out what type of medical intervention to make from a chemical standpoint. But there's no panel. You can't take someone's cannabinoid panel to figure out if their cannabinoids are out of whack. Because that might be a thing, and it might take weeks to kind of drive certain cannabinoids out of their system and drive new ones in, and now they're not so depressed or something.
All right. I want closing thoughts, though. So, Vega, you want to close up? What's your closing thought?
We only are going to get through this thing together. Everyone needs to put aside all of these superficial.
They're cutting him off. They're like,
it's all BS. It's just
the lizard people are shutting you down.
else, and we are everyone else.
Yeah, Epstein class always getting us down. You know. All right, Sith Lord. What about you? You got something to say?
Oh God,
afterthought.
So first time, long time, but I mean, like I was on that other thing, but you know what I mean. Like it's great to be here, and this is a lot of fun. I was always watching this and like, oh man, I wish you could be on here and say this thing because like that guy said this thing, and so it's really cool to do this. It's kind of breaking the fourth wall, you know. We've talked about that before, so like this is awesome. Hope you can have me on some other time too, sometime. So
yeah, for sure, you're always welcome. I love what you're doing. I love FChat. I think it's amazing. Right now, if you guys want, when you're done with this, you can go to the main room and listen to them say the N word over and over again. Hard R. There's little white girls doing it, and they're talking to each other about the value and what the meaning is. And it's like, you know what? I don't completely get it, but hey, I'm really excited for them to process what they're thinking about. And this is literally the only way it would be possible. Every other service would shut this conversation down.
Well, you know, the word itself is actually a description of a piece of technology that was used when there were log rafts, you know, a log raft moving down a river, and they were all bundled together. And it was like part of the chain equipment that was used to bind it up. And these things were like rudderless ships that had to be steered. The one piece of technology, you know what it was that was able to pilot these things? It was called a...
I had my mouse on the muter just because I knew what it was called.
No, and again, I'm not the kind of guy. I was not in New England. No, not me. And not with this hair. That's not. I wouldn't have. Anyways, but no. It sounds like a joke, but
crackers have to do with the Kraken. There were actually white people that would pull the Irishmen, that would pull your boats, because back before the highways, they would bring the trades. The boats would go up the rivers, and these like Irishmen would pull everything off the boat and knock the boat down, like waterway robbers, and they called them Krakens and crackers. Eventually, the cracker comes from that. White folk are monstrous octopods. Okay. Yeah, so we'll have you back soon, Sith. That's awesome. And then Chris.
Mikio Cracker. That's a person, probably.
Yeah. Mikio Cracker. Chris, what about you?
Thank you guys for coming on, talking with me, and thank you all for watching. And I just want to say we are so back.
True. Yeah. And God bless you all. And if it's someone in your family you're not talking to, go tell them you love them as soon as possible. Try to work it out because life is short.
Amen.
Advanced philosophy